So without further ado, I will turn it over to Aaron Moy and Allison Cooper, who are the admissions directors for OUTC. On to you two.
Hi.
Hey guys, awesome. Thanks so much, Ryan. So as you mentioned, my name is Aaron Moy, and I have Allison Cooper with me. We are both admissions directors for the Out for Undergrad Technology Conference, and we'll kind of be walking you through what to expect and some of the things that you can experience at the conference this year. So to start, the conference is going to take place in San Francisco. The dates have been set September 25th through 27th. That's a Friday, Saturday, and a Sunday. And we're incredibly excited to announce that we're going to be hosting the conference at the Twitter headquarters in downtown San Francisco, right on Market Street. So Twitter's been gracious enough to allow us to use their space to have the conference. So to take a quick kind of step back in terms of the Out for Undergrad Technology Conference. For a lot of you who are unfamiliar with the conference or just hearing about it for the first time recently, essentially what we're trying to do is unite some of America's best LGBT students amongst the technology space and connect them with technology companies from all over the country and all over the world. So this conference is a great opportunity not only to network with these companies, but to also network with each other students, alumni, and a lot of the directors that are helping put this conference on. All right. Sorry, trying to go on to the next slide. There we go. So again, our mission of the conference is more than just having that time in which we're able to meet in person. Like I mentioned before, there's tons of opportunity to network with the community, with each other, with other alumni from the conferences. And we really want to create this engaged community of these high potential LGBT undergrads. We want to recognize all of the hard work and the tenacity you have in your passion for technology, your passion for your career and for education, and we want to recognize that and help inspire this next generation of tech leaders. So here we have just a few of the companies that we've worked with in the past. So it ranges the spectrum from large tech companies like Twitter and Facebook and Microsoft to kind of some of the smaller technology companies that are having an equally important impact, such as Stripe and Zenefits. Specifically in terms of the tech conference experience, we'll walk through that in the next slide, but essentially it'll be a multitude of things from keynote speakers to breakout sessions to career fairs, lunch groups, and a venture capitalist kind of pitch, if you will, actually like a Shark Tank type of experience. And of course, there'll be plenty of time for reception and banter amongst each other and getting to meet the other participants and the others that are involved in the conference. Great, so here we kind of have an outline of what the schedule will look like, most likely will look like come September. Without getting into all the details, we are, again, ranging the gamut from having keynote speakers such as Kara Swisher, we've had in the past, to having these smaller breakout sessions. And these sessions are really important because they're with a smaller group of people, so they're a little bit more intimate, and they address a variety of issues such as how to deal with issues in the professional workplace, being LGBT, being out, or even being in the closet. We also deal with some personal related issues, so dealing with gender diversity. We really stress diversity at the conference, so we want to make sure that it's an open and welcoming space for everybody, and that we also are communicating that type of environment for people when they enter their first job or their first internship, and to understand what to expect and how to deal with potential conflict as it comes up.
And these sessions are also very collaborative. I'm a past attendee. I attended actually 3 OUTC conferences. So you'll also have a chance to meet and network with other students as well. It's not just a panel of people talking at you. You get to ask questions and meet each other. And in my case, I've made some of my best friends through that process.
Yeah, we're really excited about the programming and the content that we have planned. for this year. Our programming team has been working really hard on nailing down this awesome content and finding out the best ways to utilize the time, again, to help you both grow professionally as well as personally. And then the second day is a little bit shorter, but just as impactful. And this is where we really want to give you a hands-on experience. So the first day is a little bit more about discussion and hearing some very impactful thought leaders in the industry. Day 2 is a little bit more about your chance to shine, your chance to kind of prove and demonstrate what you can do. So essentially what we have is this pitch and demo day, where you are given an opportunity to work with a group of other students on a potential idea, pitch it to an actual panel of both VCs, venture capitalists, other people in the tech space. And after that pitch happens, you'll have the opportunity to hear their feedback, to understand a little bit more about how that process works, because this is very similar to how things work in Silicon Valley and in the technology space and sector. So having this experience is incredibly valuable, and it's never too early to start. Awesome. So to kind of just wrap things up here, we are openly accepting applications right now. The deadline is April 20th. And if you don't already have the link, you can copy it here. It's a bit.ly link, so it's bit.ly / OUTC 2015. It's a mouthful. But if you go there, you should have all the instructions on filling out the application. It's very standard in terms of the information that's required. And upload your resume, a couple of questions about why you are looking to apply for the conference and what you'll get out of it. But if you have any questions at all about either the application process, the application itself, please feel free to email either myself or Allison, as well as Paolo, who is another one of the admissions directors who wasn't able to make this call. But all of our emails are listed below. And again, any questions or any concerns or comments you have, in addition to what we'll go over on the rest of this call, is more than welcome. But we're going to try and answer as many questions we have on the call right now. And to do that, I'd like to introduce Brandon Fail. Hey, Brandon, who is the Executive Director for Out for Undergrad. And he's going to be the moderator for some of the questions both that have been asked prior to this session, as well as ones that are coming in as I've been speaking.
Cool. Thanks, Aaron. Hi, everybody. As Aaron said, my name is Brandon Fail. I'm the Executive Director of Out for Undergrad. Out for Undergrad is an amazing organization, and OUTC is an incredible conference and opportunity. And I'm so excited that so many of you have tuned in tonight, and that so many of you asked such good questions, both in the sidebar tonight and in advance using our form. I collected a bunch of those questions, and I've synthesized them into some shorter questions in the interest of time, and I'm going to be emceeing. I'll ask each of Aaron and Allison in turn some of these questions on your behalf. If you have other questions while we're talking, please do use the questions box on the GoToWebinar control panel, and we'll either answer them directly or ask them now live. Cool. The first question actually that came in during the conference is, or during the webinar, Aaron and Allison, could you just tell us a little bit about yourselves and where each of you works and what your own background is?
Sure, I guess I'll go first. So I graduated from Columbia last year with a degree in computer science and archaeology, and I'm a software development engineer at Amazon at their headquarters in Seattle, working on back-end technologies.
So I graduated from Berkeley back in 2008. I'm incredibly old. But I actually majored in media studies, which is a little bit more of a non-traditional tech major. But I now work in research. I user research at Twitter. So I'm based in New York, but I'm actually in San Francisco right now, and was just at the Twitter headquarters where the conference will be at earlier today. So if you have any questions about making kind of a transition from maybe a more liberal arts degree into the tech space, I'm more than happy to answer those questions or address that further.
Cool. Awesome. My own background, by the way, I graduated from Harvard in '03 and Yale Law School in '06. I worked at a hedge fund for a little while. I worked about 5 years at McKinsey & Company doing management consulting. Then I jumped into the tech space myself. I launched a startup of my own called The Shoplift. We were the world's first social shopping mall in 2012. So I've had a little of each of the backgrounds that we serve at O4U, and one of the reasons I think OUTC is so exciting is how relevant it would have been for me when I was a student. So I think it's great. Cool. Okay, so the next question, let's see. The next question is going to be about the kinds of professionals that will be present at the conference. Can you guys give a sense for whom attending students will be able to meet, and sort of what levels of seniority and what jobs they represent?
Yeah, so it's going to be it's definitely going to be a variety of people depending on the company. So in the past, we've had everyone from recruiters, technical recruiters, to the actual, product managers, to researchers, to software engineers, varying degrees of seniority. Again, depending on the company. Depending on where they're located as well as the size. But in the past, again, we have had opportunities for students to interact directly with recruiters to know what they're looking for, as well as talking to people that are already in the profession who've been doing it for a while to understand their career trajectory and how they came to where they are.
And
Cool.
also, keynote speakers, at least in the past, have been accessible to questions after they've spoken. So, for example, some students have the ability to talk to Kara Swisher, the last conference I attended for OUTC. So really, like Aaron said, the whole gamut of opportunities.
Awesome. Can you talk about, so you showed a slide with the kinds of companies that will be represented at the conference. There was a question about which companies specifically will be there sort of recruiting for jobs. Here's a chance to do a little name dropping. Can you mention a few of the top firms that you expect to be there once again?
Awesome.
Great. There they are. Okay, they're on screen. Awesome.
Yeah.
Going to be at Twitter. Yeah, you'll see Facebook there, Microsoft, Google, Quora, dot, dot, dot. Okay.
So yeah, a
Awesome.
variety of the larger tech companies, and then also a bunch of smaller ones. Also, some tech consulting firms have also been there in the past. So, for example, if you're interested in technology but aren't doing, a computer science degree, but are really interested in entering the tech space, Accenture has been there in the past. A company called ThoughtWorks, which is an amazing company out of Chicago that does a lot of tech consulting, has been there in the past. So, quite a variety of opportunities, even with the companies that are represented as well.
Cool. One student asks, what kind of job opportunities will students encounter at the conference? Can you give a sense of the mix of summer and full-time? Comment on kind of what roles firms like this tend to be hiring for? And also maybe comment on how students should approach this, like vis-a-vis the on-campus recruiting process, which happens in parallel.
Sure, I can speak a little bit to that as well. So it's both for summer internships and for full-time positions, and often in many cases summer internships that turn into full-time positions after students work there. So I'll give you some anecdotal evidence. A friend of mine attended O4U, I think this was 2013. He, the Yahoo recruiter eventually someone reached out to him. He worked there as an intern and is absolutely flourishing there as a full-time employee now after graduating. So summer internships for undergrads and also for full-time employees. And in fact, some companies, and this is up to their discretion, will actually do on-site interviews. But again, that's up to company discretion.
Yeah, I would say that in terms of preparation, this is obviously an opportunity for you to gain lots of great exposure to these companies. So make the most of it. Come with your resume. We can obviously assist on some of that stuff, but as much as you can do to prepare yourself, whether it's practicing interviews or finishing up your resume, that sort of thing, because you might have an opportunity to do these on-site interviews or at least talk to the recruiters. And as it pertains to on-campus recruiting, definitely work them both. You can let the recruiters at the conference know that you've been in contact if you have been with other recruiters at the company. That's totally fine. And then vice versa, when you go back to school, and you can let the on-campus recruiters know that you went to this conference and you had a chance to speak to recruiters at the Out for Undergrad Tech Conference.
And I personally would definitely recommend that. I did that with one of the companies that attended my last year, and it actually expedited my interview process through on-campus recruiting, just by getting the name of the recruiter that was at the conference and name dropping that name with on-campus recruiting.
Cool. There are a couple questions about the application process, and can you comment on whom or sort of what you're looking for in an applicant? What can students say or do to stand out in their applications? And there's also a question about whether you're looking for specific majors and whether this is limited to computer science majors in the application.
Yeah, sure. So, we're definitely looking for, as we mentioned earlier, the conference is about finding the kind of higher achieving LGBT students. But in terms of what that entails, it's a variety of things. It is obviously the academic rigor of, your kind of academic resume, but also it's about leadership and leadership potential, proving that you've done this type of work in the past, whether, it could be starting a club, it could be writing your own app, what have you. And then it's also about, I think, what's really important to us on the admissions team is passion. So having a passion for technology, and this can come through in your resume, can also come through in some of the essay questions that we'll have you write, to really understand why is it that you are interested in technology, why are you interested in tech and the tech conference, because from our perspective, the way that you can get the most out of it is that you are really interested in the content. So we want to make sure that we're servicing you as much as you're interested in the material. So anywhere that you can highlight that passion for technology would be great. To address the question about majors, we are looking at a bunch of different majors. However, because it is a technology conference, computer science is going to be very common, data science, research, that sort of thing. However, don't worry if you're in a non-traditional technology major, that's totally fine. You obviously will have interest in technology, which is why you'd be applying. So if you can demonstrate that again, projects you've worked on, clubs that you're in, any areas where it shows that you are very passionate and technology is the path you want to take. Make that come through as much as you can in the application, because we will notice it.
Yeah, and just to kind of expand upon that a bit, when I applied for my first OUTC conference, I had basically no experience in tech. I took my first programming course as a sophomore in college, but I was able to demonstrate that I was really interested in coding and learning to code and exposing myself to this world. So you really, Aaron listed a lot of really great ways you can demonstrate your passion and experience, but even experience, for some of you who don't have very much of it, I wouldn't be too concerned about that, as long as you are super passionate about technology and entering the technology space.
Cool. That's a good bridge, or rather, that may cover some of the next question. One student asks in the question panel that, Aaron, you mentioned having more of a liberal arts background and making the shift into the tech space. The question is, what would you say with regard to the potential experience of somewhat nervous liberal arts students at the conference? How should liberal arts students expect to feel if they attend the conference and take part?
Sure. That's a great question. So I know with a lot of liberal arts degrees and majors, you're interested in so many different things and you're trying to figure out what that is. And I think the conference is an awesome opportunity for you to do that, because you are really getting exposure to all types of jobs and careers and professions. So I know it's a very the time where you're figuring out what you want to do in terms of your career and your first job. So the more you know about what's out there, the more you can make that decision and go down that path. So for me, for instance, I majored in media studies and I started off working in advertising, but I quickly started working more and more in research, and learning that I love that. If I had this conference to show me that there are jobs where you can focus on research and user research, market research, I would have jumped on it from the beginning. I just didn't have the opportunity to attend the conference when I was a student. So even if you are liberal arts and you're not sure what you want to do, if you just know that you're interested in technology and tech, definitely apply, and you can figure all that out here. Because for everyone who knows what they want to do and is a computer science and knows what they want, certain types of languages that they're coding in and they want this specific job at this company, there's another student who doesn't know at all what they want to do, which is completely fine. And the conference is for both of those types of participants.
And it's
Cool.
also for, I would say, participants who maybe have a more academic background. So, for example, there have been a lot of computer science theory people who've attended the conference who are interested in learning about going into industry. It's not something they may have necessarily thought about before. They're sort of on a strict PhD track, but wanted to get exposure to the other side, and then actually have converted to the other side and gone into industry instead of graduate school directly. So, lots of different kinds of applicants and backgrounds.
Cool. Thanks, Allison. Allison, maybe I'll throw this question your way. There are a couple questions about diversity. Can you talk a little bit about how diverse the conference student body is going to be, and also about the conference itself? What should students from diverse backgrounds, whether they are underrepresented minority students, whether they are non-male identifying, what should students expect on those fronts at the conference itself?
Sure. So we're intending to have the most diverse conference possible, and this is along gender lines, gender identity, race, socioeconomic background, first-year college student, first and family college students. We're really trying to expand the diversity of the conference. It's been diverse in the past, and we're trying to make it even more diverse this year. So that's first and foremost. And complement that, we're creating a very safe space. We want this to be a very safe space for people to ask difficult questions and feel comfortable doing so. We've really talked about how this is a tech conference and how this can benefit you professionally, but it is also very much an LGBT tech conference. And I know that I had a lot of questions I felt sort of uncomfortable asking, but I never really had the chance to ask anyone before about being out in the workplace, being a lesbian in the workplace, being a woman in tech. And this conference is very much a safe space for questions like that. So I hope that answers your question, Brandon.
I think it does. Something else I want to mention on that front, I think that was a good question from whoever asked it. I think something else worth mentioning is we go out of our way in working with our partner companies, the sponsoring firms who show up to recruit, to ensure sort of, we are a nationwide network of volunteers, and we draw our volunteers from those firms, and the folks who participate in the conference and help put on the conference are representatives of those firms. And we go out of our way to make sure that the community that we put together and the folks that those sponsor firms send reflect the incredible diversity of the LGBT community itself. And the net result of this, as one student put it to me last year, is that it really does feel like there's someone for everyone to connect with, and we've gotten the feedback that that's directly important to lots of students, and we take the commitment seriously. So everyone should be very excited that the opportunity to meet people like you and people to whom you can relate, who are a few years older and a little bit further down their career path, are going to be there, and there'll be a chance to ask questions and get to know folks along those fronts. Another question that comes up, a student asks, students ask, the question boils down to, what if I'm not out, or what if I'm not fully out? Is applying to the conference going to out me to my parents or to other folks on my campus? Who will find out? I don't know, Aaron, can you comment a little bit on how students should feel if they are either not out or not fully out, or wish for some privacy around their sexual orientation?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So first off, we definitely encourage you to apply even if you are not out. We want to ensure that this is a safe and inclusive environment. So any kind of communication or any sort of photo taking, all that stuff will absolutely be, if you have any issues with that, please let us know, and we will make sure to, not include those, not push or publish any of that stuff, not include communications, if you don't want, certain emails coming through with title, like all that stuff, we absolutely will accommodate any of those requests because we know how sensitive it can be when dealing with that. So any questions or concerns, please, if we haven't thought of them already, we're more than happy to answer them. And even with the application itself, we want to, again, create this safe space where everyone feels comfortable, that it's not going to get back to, their home or their student life, any of that stuff. So we try to go out of our way to ensure that even for students who are still in the closet, this is still a safe space and it's not going to out them in any way possible.
Cool. I'll add on that front from my personal experience. I started off my career um, as a closeted professional, and that, for me, that was a mistake, and I regret doing that. And something that's really cool about our conference, uh, from the perspective of students who aren't out or aren't fully out, is that the conference is a unique opportunity to kind of experiment with the concept of being out as a professional and to talk to people who are and who have and haven't been and to understand what it really means to show up at a firm and be out on day one, and the experience of what that means and how bringing your full self to work really feels, and what it can mean for your life. So it's a very safe space to experiment with that idea and to think it through and ask questions about it, and it's a unique opportunity to do that before it's day one and you have to show up at work and start off sort of in the closet or out, and the pressure is on. It's a cool opportunity along that dimension. Um, as Aaron said, like we take privacy seriously. We don't go publishing the list of attendees on our website. Um, Anyone who wishes not to have photos of them taken, we won't take photos of them. The one the one thing we should flag is that we do share resumes and names with the employers that take part. Um, but everyone also needs to understand that from the perspective of these employers, being LGBT is a tremendous advantage. It's something that they are actively looking for, and having been accepted to our conference is itself a mark of elite status and achievement, um, of the kind that these employers are directly looking for. So that to me feels like a real positive, but it's something that folks should be aware of. That's all from me. Are there? I think I've answered almost all the questions in the question bar. But if you all have further questions, please don't hesitate to email Allison or Paolo or Aaron, all of whose email addresses are shown on the page. As the page says, the first application deadline is April 20th. That's just 6 days away. So now would be a good time to start your application if you're home and at your computer anyway. The second round application deadline is going to be May 18th, but there is an advantage to applying early because of essentially our rolling application process. What else? I think that might be it for me. I think I'm going to turn it back to Aaron and Allison to close up. But I'll say thank you to everyone. There's a large number of students that took part, and I appreciate it. And I hope you all apply, and good luck.
Awesome, thanks, Brandon. So just to close again, we'll kind of stress what Brandon just mentioned about the application deadline on the 20th, and also any question at all, please feel free to email any of us or all of us, and we'll do our best to get back to you. It really is an amazing conference, and I wish I had the chance to attend when I was an undergrad. Brandon touched a little bit upon being kind of out in the workplace for the first time, and it's a good chance to experiment. But just being out in general, if you are not out even personally, I think it's a good opportunity to, again, test those waters in a safe space with no judgment. Because when you enter the workplace, things get really crazy, and so you end up kind of pushing that stuff to the side and focusing on your tasks and your job at hand. But so this is a great chance to kind of figure out what boundaries you can push and to understand potential questions that might come up as you're out, or these issues that you might come across, and we kind of all, when you combine all of our experiences together, I feel like at some point one of us has had that experience before, so we are here to help, and definitely want to make sure that that transition process is as smooth as possible.
Yeah, I think Aaron covered it. It's an amazing conference, as I said. I've attended 3 times. I would have gone a fourth if I could have. I attended the first, which was my sophomore year, through my senior year, and it's above all also just a lot of fun and an amazing experience. So I highly recommend you apply.
Awesome. Well, we won't keep you guys any longer. Again, if you have any questions, let us know. But other than that, have a great rest of your evening, and we look forward to seeing your application.